Hey everybody, Zingact here, and today I want to show you some speed spider farming in Raid Shadow Legends. We've got the CVC starting here in 6 hours, and one of the best ways to score points is to farm spider. Now you can look at the spider objectives. It's not 2x, you see it's potion keeps and forge objectives, but when we go into the objectives, potion keeps, you only get 80 points for beating it on stage 16 through 20. When it's doubled, you only get 160. Then we go down to Spider. Beating stage 20 through 24 will get us 200 points per clear. And stage 20 is the most efficient farm for Spider. I myself am an in-game player and I still farm stage 20. Now I want to show you some good spider champs and talk about their kits, and then how we can go from an evolution from a very free-to-play friendly spider completion team all the way up to a speed farming team where I'm at now. So some of the best spider champions you can use are champions that do enemy max HP. Let's first start with Coldheart. Coldheart is one of the best champions in the game for doing dungeon locations, especially Spider. She is known for her one ability, Heartseeker. She attacks one enemy, decreases the target's turn meter by 100%, and has an extra 30% chance of inflicting crit rate. She only needs 70% crit rate. The damage increases according to enemy max HP. What that means, we only have to build her with 70% crit rate, and we can max out her crit damage. This damage will not get affected too much from her attack stats, so we just want raw crit damage on her. Another really good champion for Spider is Royal Guard. Royal Guard's takedown is another enemy max HP ability. It's an AoE, so he can clear away all the spiderlings as well as it gets increased damage from his attack stat versus Coldheart's. So having more attack on him is a little more beneficial, especially if you're going to use him to clear waves in other dungeons. Also, his hamstring ability, 4 times at random, each hit has 60%, books up to 75% chance to place a big decreased speed for 2 turns. Each hit also has a 75% chance of depleting the turn meter by 25%, so some turn meter reduction to keep the main spider from taking a turn, consuming those spiderlings, and prolonging the fight. He also has a chance to place strong decrease of defense on his A1, and he's got attack in all dungeons by 35%, one of the highest in the game. So he's very good in other dungeons for clearing waves, and very good for Spider for doing damage to bosses as well. If you have Armiger and you use him, you know how good he is. If you don't, you should really think about getting one. He's only got 2 abilities. First ability is A1, tax an enemy. Has a 30% decrease of the turn meter if the attack is a crit. That's 100%. As long as you crit with it, you're knocking back a boss's turn meter by 30%. Plus his damage is based off defense, so you can build him real tanky. Other ability, Laid Arrest. Attack an enemy. Places Block Revive on that enemy, and this skill gets increased damage from the enemy's max HP. So this move does about half the damage that a Coldheart's Heartseeker does, but if you notice, it's on a 2-turn cooldown. Plus him being an uncommon, you can get multiple copies of himself and feed to himself. I only have mine up to level 50, but level 50 does the job. With all these champions, you're going to want to have accuracy to land their debuffs. The actual gear doesn't really matter. Some gear that gives you increased damage, like crit damage sets, or such as Savage or Instinct that ignores enemy defense, does help increase the damage they do. But most of mine are in random sets. I have Armageddon and Destroy set to try to deal with Bommel. I had him in my old Bommel team. But what you're going for is some good speed, probably at least 170-ish. You want to have 100% crit rate and some good crit damage. He's over-critted on this guy, 112, not the highest, but I haven't really changed him. His job for one of the runs you'll see is just to keep the turn meter of the spider down. For my Coldheart, main Coldheart's in a Instinct set, and she's got 74% crit rate. Remember, she only needs 70% crit rate, 270% crit damage. Like I said, attack percentage doesn't matter so much on her, so I have her in an HP percent chest, or actually flat defense chest on her. And then Royal Guard, I have him for clearing waves. I have both Royal Guards set up, but my main Royal Guard I was showing off today. He's got some pretty crazy stats, but he's got over 200% crit rate, crit damage, and 100% crit rate. It's a little slow. I need to get some more glyphs to glyph him up, but I use him in my Hydra teams. So I actually have HP and defense on him more than attack, because his attack is kind of low. Other good champions for doing Spider. Lydia's pretty good because she places decreased defense and weaken, as well as increasing the speed on your team. Yeah, she is a Void Legendary, but she's gotten through Faction Wars, so she is free to play. As in, everybody will get her if you beat Faction Wars. But it does take a while to beat Faction Wars. A good substitute for the time being, I would recommend, is do someone that does just AoE decrease defense and probably decrease attack as well. One I used heavily up until I got my Lydia was Stag Knight. Stag Knight's another phenomenal champion for Spider. Another one that's similar to him would be Duke the Pierced. They have the same move on their A2, AoE, 100% chance to place decrease defense and decrease attack, the strong versions. A note on Stag Knight, it actually only goes to 95% chance with this move. You have to get masteries on him and pick up the Sniper Mastery. Sniper Mastery, if I can find it, increases the chance of placing debuffs by 5%, so that make it 100. And his A1 places decreased speed to keep the main Spider going slower. And his aura, not very useful, but every time someone resists a debuff, an enemy resists a debuff, he'll place increased accuracy on your fellow champion. So, but yeah, it's all about that A2 with either Stag Knight or Duck the Pierced. Decrease defense, make the main Spider take more damage, decrease attack so the Spiderlings do less damage. A very good tank that I used for the longest time that everybody can get is Drexar Blood Twin. Drexar you get in the Bazaar from doing 3v3 Arena. What makes Drexar good for farming Spider 20 is he is the negative affinity. He has Force, the Spider is Spirit. Spiderlings will target him because they believe that they are strong to him. It's how the coding works in the game. And that's great because Drexar has this wonderful passive called Fiery Blood. When Drexar is attacked, he has 55, books up to 75% chance of placing an HP burn for 2 turns when hit. His resistance increases for 10 for each enemy under HP burn, up to 50, so once some Spiderlings are out, he'll get plus 50 resist. If I had mine built better for this, you could have it so he'd start resisting the poisons the Spiderlings bring, but I'm not going to really need them for fast spider running, so definitely if you're going to use him in Doom Tower, he's great Doom Tower too. His A2, Burning Lash. He attacks all enemies, has a 40%, books up to 60% chance to place a Provoke. This chance goes up to 100% if anybody's under HP burn. And he will place a decreased attack on any enemy that he places Provoke on. And that books down to a 3-turn cooldown. I have not finished my Drexar's books, but you don't need him booked at all for running Spider. And then his A1's a triple hitter, has a chance to place HP burn, plus he heals himself if he attacks somebody and the HP burn is placed. And to top it all off, his damage is based off defense, so you can make him ultra tanky with high defense. I have mine in a regeneration set. You don't have to have regen. You can definitely go lifesteal with accuracy. You just want to have enough accuracy on him. Mine's got a little overkill right now at 310, but 250 is what you need for the main Spider. And another good champion we'll be showcasing today. As you can see, these are more than the 5 on a team, but I will show you 4 different teams as a progression. Lastly, we have Archmage Helmet. He's the first champion you get in Doom Tower Normal, and his kit makes him really good for running against Spider 20. Let's review his two main abilities that we'll be using. Time Slip, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks an enemy. If it's a crit, attacks all other enemies. Has a 70% chance, 75% chance, excuse me, of placing his stun on all those enemies. Each enemy that does not get stunned gets their turn meter pushed back 20%. Great to keep the spiderlings from taking a turn. And his other abilities, like a Guidance, which is on a 3-turn cooldown, puts strong, increased speed, increased crit, and increased crit damage on all your allies for 2 turns. Will buff the damage dealers on your team to do more damage to the boss. And his passive and his aura are kind of irrelevant for this. Immune to turn meter decreasing effects. And speed in arena battles by 17. Yeah, you're not going to be needing that for the Spider Dungeon. Okay, here we are on Spider 20. Spider 20 is the most efficient stage to farm for silver in the game, as well as in general for Spider. While higher stages in it do have slightly increased chances of getting legendary and epic gear, the amount of silver you get per run on average drops off, as well as how much more energy you have to spend. Plus, the bosses do actually get more difficult, and it limits how much damage enemy max HP moves can deal. So you can actually farm Spider 20 in less than 20 seconds easily. So it's the best stage to farm just in general for Spider. So this first team, this I'm calling the Budget Spider team, is not a speed farm team, but it's an easy team, and it's something made with champs that you might have. I'm using one Cold Heart, one Armiger, my Drexar, Stag Knight, and an Archmage Helmet. So let me show you how it goes. Oh, that's right. I set this up. He's gonna do the increased speed first, because I want the Spiderlings to actually hit Drexar a little bit and get some of the HP burns out there before he stuns them. Now, you'll notice that the Spiderlings will sometimes attack your weakest champion and not always Drexar. I don't know why that is. There's something with the coding where they decide that they're going to randomly attack your weakest champion versus the negative affinity, but they're going to mostly go after Drexar. And for anybody that doesn't know, HP burn is very good in Spider. If you're unfamiliar with what HP burn does, when HP burn goes, it does 3% enemy max HP to every enemy that's on the enemy team. While poison is either 2.5 or 5% damage to the person it's on, and you can put a bunch of stacks of poison on there. You can only have 1 stack of HP burn, but it damages the whole team. It's like if a champion was on fire and it burnt the whole team. As you can see, enemy the HP burn is going off. Only having 1 Cold Heart, the Spider's probably going to take a turn here. Hopefully it doesn't wipe my team. Oh, there we go. I got a Heartseeker off. Boom, we got it. All right, minute and a half. Not particularly good, but hey, they're dead. One thing that you could do to increase this team is speed up your Armiger for sure. If you wanted him for more turn meter control, definitely can be running him over 200 speed. Just make sure you have at least 250 accuracy. If you're using Drexar, you can cheat that because you know Drexar is giving the plus 70 accuracy with his aura. That means you can build the rest of your champions with 180 accuracy instead. Now, what if you've got a couple more champions, level 60, and you want to start doing some speed farming? Well, I've got iteration of my first speed farming team here. A champion I did not mention, Renegade. Nope, that will kick her out. I'll just explain her kit real quick. So Renegade is one of the few champions in the game that has reducing your turns cooldowns. So what that means is she has a skill. Well, she'll activate and she'll reduce the cooldown of each of the other champions' turns by 2 turns. So Cold Heart, instead of being on a 4-turn cooldown with a Heartseeker, she'll be down to 2 after Renegade kind of refreshes that ability. What that means, you're going to get more Heartseekers off faster. And so this team, I'm subbing out Helmet with Renegade for resetting, and then I'm subbing out Armiger with a second Cold Heart if you have 2 Cold Hearts. This one also works too if you have either a Septimus, which is a legendary, but who knows, you might have pulled it instead of a second Cold Heart, or you can use Royal Guard in the place of a second Cold Heart, but you definitely need at least 1 Cold Heart in the team for that full turn meter depletion. Now this team will go a little faster, I believe it's under a minute. But, you know, Spiderlings are still going to attack Drexar, but while they are distracted with Drexar, you're just going to be Heartseekering that spider down, so. It's also important to note your speeds. My Renegade is a little fast because I do use her in my Fire Knight 25 team. So I have her open with her A2, which can land decreased speed instead of her refresh ability. Because you definitely want to have your Cold Hearts use their Heartseeker before you refresh them, because if their ability isn't on cooldown and you try to refresh it, it's just not going to do anything. And so one thing that you're going to know is that Drexar is going to die. But I do use some of those Blood Shield rings that we have been getting from Clan v Clan. Works great on Cold Heart. She gets a juicy shield when she uses Heartseeker. And it's at 54 seconds. Not bad, but that's pretty consistent. Now, one thing I do want to let you know is that this run can fail. Most champions in the game, even if they do a 100% chance to land a debuff, the in-game code still gives all champions and bosses a 3% chance to resist a debuff. That's in Arena, that's in Dungeons, Doom Tower, everywhere. Now we're going to show you a slightly faster team. And this slightly faster team is going to utilize Lydia. But it doesn't have to be Lydia. It can be any champion with an AoE, decreased defense, and weaken. So instead of having a dedicated tank on this team, you see I'm bringing back Archmage Helmet to place stuns on the Spiderlings. And the goal of this one is to just do a bunch of raw damage from my Cold Hearts and keep the Spiderlings stunned, so you don't have to rely on Drexar putting a little bit of HP burns and being the tank for the team to try to finish off the spider. That extra 25% damage from the weaken will make that Heartseeker do enough damage to just take down the spider in almost 3 Heartseekers, but you have 4 Heartseekers going off. So it will be faster, watch. And it's important to definitely use your team presets, just so your champions don't do something weird with their AI. So first one, 1.3 mil, 1.7 mil. Now, the reason the one Cold Heart does more than the other, she's in the Instinct set, so she ignores 15% defense. The other one is in just a Destroy set for Bommel. So yeah, she does almost an extra 400,000 damage just because she ignores an extra 15% defense. So if you can get at least like a Cruel set on a Cold Heart, that extra ignore 5% damage will give you at least another 100k damage on the Heartseeker. 39 seconds compared to the last, which was like 50 some seconds. And obviously there's ways to speed it up even more. If you get either a Yumiko or a Prince Kymar, they're legendaries, but if you get them, their resets are stronger than Renegades, so they're going to take their turns faster. And I believe because they're on 4 turn cooldowns, I believe they'll have Heartseeker into Heartseeker again. Now, if you're like me and you're endgame, you can build a team like my Spider 20 team. I use Lydia for decreased defense and weekend. You can use anybody. You can use a Dracomorph if you get one. You can use a Venus an even, which isn't bad, but it's a little random. You can use a spider. He places 100% decreased defense, and he has, I believe, a 60% chance to place a small weaken debuff. So it's not, super reliable, because the big spider's not going to always have that weaken on him. You could also partner with a champion that places a weaken, so you have one champion place weaken, another champion plays decreased defense. I think you can have all your enemy max HP champions go. But this is my fastest run. I think it averages about 12 seconds. Because I'm doing all the enemy max HP. I don't even have this Royal Guard fully leveled up. He's only level 50. He does not do that much damage. It's definitely the weakest out of this group. He goes in, does about 1 million, 1.5, 1.7, and then finishes with 1.6. I could sit this and do this over and over tomorrow. During the CVC, I'm getting 200 points every single time. And that's also why I get over 100,000 points every CVC. I usually just save up some energy and then I farm Spider. Because I can always use more silver. I spend so much silver on regearing champions. I love regearing champions. There we go. That's speed farming Spider 20 in a nutshell. This will help get you the most silver out of any dungeon, and it's going to get you